Hello and welcome to our poster. We focused on implicit associations between lesbian women and fat. In many Western societies, women are expected not to take up space. This is true in meetings where women who speak less frequently than men are still perceived as excessively dominating the conversation, or in physical activities where women are expected to be less mobile than men, such as in the saying to throw like a girl. Research into employment discrimination has found that this is also literal. Women with larger body types tend to be discriminated against at greater rates than men with similar body types. In addition, women more frequently suffer from thinness-related body image concerns and eating disorders than men. In general, there appears to be a relationship between social ideals for women or femininity and thinness. While feminine ideals are often used to judge women in general, research into lesbian women and queer culture suggests that there is an expectation among women in queer spaces to be more distant from ideals of femininity. If thinness is feminine and unfemininity is more prototypical of lesbian women, then it may be true that fatness is associated with lesbian women. Learning more about this hypothesized relationship may help us to understand and combat discrimination against these two subgroups of women. This led us to form several hypotheses related to gender roles and sexual orientations of thinner and larger women. Our participants preferred the term overweight, so I'll try to lean in that direction. And we tested femininity and masculinity as separate dimensions. We wound up recruiting 203 participants, which was a little over our target of 200. They were 77% women, 92% white, 96% cisgender, and 79% straight. So we definitely do not make any predictions about the extent to which this generalizes to other groups. In particular, there's reason to believe that other ethno-racial groups in the United States may have different ideals. That was not tested within this study. For the first step, participants took an implicit association test. We used some images used by Project Implicit, as well as some terms commonly used for sexual orientation IATs. However, since these did not distinguish between gay men and lesbian women, and we feared that gay may simply be seen as a feminine word, we also included words specifically associated with lesbian or straight women in different research or in society in general, such as girly or boyish. We also had participants take several implicit scales, such as the fat phobia scale, and the ANSA, and to reply with their social stereotypes of straight, lesbian, overweight, or thin women. So our results are here. In terms of the implicit association test, we did find that there was a positive result, meaning that participants did associate these stimuli in the stereotypical direction. Whether they specifically associated large body types with lesbian women, straight or small body types with straight women, or both is unclear. We also found significant results when comparing the femininity of different groups, and also significant results when comparing the masculinity of different groups. So in other words, all of the direct relationships were significant. We do see that some of these are multimodal. So there may be a group of participants that did lean in that direction and a group that perceived no difference. But we did still find that our 95% confidence intervals were well above zero for the difference between each hypothesized pair of groups. We also tested whether fat phobia was a predictor of any of these relationships. We found a very weak effect of fat phobia on the IAT. We found some stronger effects on the relationship between, on the difference between femininity of straight and lesbian women, the femininity of thin and overweight women, and masculinity of lesbian and straight women. The only one that was not statistically significant in any way was the relationship between the masculinity of overweight and thin women. That was not predicted by fat phobia. And by the way, a higher score of fat phobia indicates more positive attitudes. That was the way it was analyzed. So in all of these cases, more negative views are associated with a greater difference, and more positive views are associated with less of a difference. So our main takeaways here were that participants associated straight women and thin women with being more feminine. They also associated lesbian and fat or overweight women with being more masculine. And that participants with more negative attitudes toward fat or overweight people held these explicit associations more strongly, except for regarding the masculinity of fat or overweight women. Our next steps will be to determine more causal and more linear relationships. So we are undergoing several studies in order to take these findings and kind of break them down and determine what effects are more relevant, what effects are more significant. And we will then proceed to conduct studies regarding any mitigation of such prejudice. Thank you.